these balls.
Whoa, speaking about
Amazing
balls,
balls.
we got episode 21, a balls out with JJ.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what was that. What that was.
That's the subtitle. Episode 21, balls out, baby. We're going all balls out.
But
Been a hell
well, I went balls out this weekend because I was in Palm Springs.
of
I was
woo. You can't
yeah,
help but be balls out because it's so
it's
hot
so yeah,
that the
you
testicles
you
descend past
literally
the
have to
short.
be balls out because they both stick to you. Because it's so hot. I was there. I
It's
was
great that
actually
we
at
landed on that.
the what?
It's great that we landed on that as the first riff of our podcast. Like, let's go
Hey,
balls out, baby.
balls out. But I was there
How
actually. I stayed at the Fantasy Springs Casino, which is where
nice.
actually you perform if you go there for to perform at the Improv. That's
Right.
where they do the club. So like, I actually have met the Mandy. Mandy, it's hard to pronounce her name, but Mandy Wicked Tower. She works there. She's a advertising
Right.
agent from the casino, but so she's very cool. So she, was very cool to like invite me and my girlfriend to stay at the casino, and it was very cool
Really
move.
nice.
Yeah, we had to.
Did she give you like any little bonuses? Did she give you any
Well,
special treatment?
we had a good a dinner at the nice restaurant in the casino called the Bistro. We had steak and lobster.
Oh, awesome.
Little,
And okay, that's what I mean though. Like, did they give you a room credit or anything like that? Because room
yeah,
credit, steak and lobster
I
is
mean,
always
it
even
was
better.
yeah, it was definitely I didn't pay what I should have paid. Let's
Right.
put it that way.
That's
I
that's all.
paid, but maybe I don't think if I would have to pay, I would have been like I would have been to my girlfriend like, hey, let's do the steak or the lobster.
Right. Okay.
but
Yeah.
with but with Mandy's help, I was like, let's do steak and lobster.
That is great. That's a great step. That's a great step.
Yeah, that's a very
Guess
big
what,
step.
baby? Yeah, you get to eat both tonight. Yeehaw! Here
Yeah,
we go.
yeah.
Oh,
So it was
that's
good.
awesome.
I got a porterhouse,
Wow.
24-ounce porterhouse. Wait, which I learned. You know what the porterhouse is?
What cut?
Yeah.
Go ahead and tell me because I'm trying to picture that chart in my head.
Well, it's kind of
But
like it's basically like a filet mignon and the ribeye together, right? Like
okay,
it's
right.
that's why because the bone
Ah,
separates it. So that's why it's like instead of getting like the filet mignon or the ribeye, just get the porterhouse and you get both.
right. There's a little. There's a good way to save some money. If you're out there on a double date and one of you wants one of you
Filet.
wants the ribeye and the other one wants the T-bone, get the
Which I don't think that if it goes for a first date, that would not look good at all. I'd be
no,
like,
it
hey
would.
babe, it's like, what do you mean? How about this? How about we just get the
Yeah.
porterhouse, you get your filet, and I get my ribeye, and hey.
Yeah, if there was ever like if ever somebody asked you what could be worse than a coupon cutter on a first date, you'd be like, "Well, I've got something worse than a coupon cutter is somebody who just orders one meal and then we cut it up between the two of them."
Yeah, that's the thing that you do when you're in a long-term relationship,
Yeah,
like you offer that service because not even like on a third date or a fifth date, you can't pull that card.
yeah,
That's like that's a trust card. Like, hey, like,
yeah.
let's do this because so we
Well, that's
can do other stuff.
yeah. That sounds very yummy though, and also you've provided us with the perfect segue, Francisco, because we're going to be talking a lot about meat on this week's podcast because we have the king of barbecue, the comedy king of barbecue, Dave Williamson, in for
That's
a
right.
chat, and he was great fun, wasn't he, buddy?
He was so good. I mean, like, because it's like his story is very original because he's like, he did, he basically started doing comedy on the road with his family,
Yeah,
like all over, like
yeah,
literally, like, which is completely different from like what comedians do when you go on the road. You're by yourself, literally. He was the
yeah,
opposite. He brought his wife and his kids, and so it was very interesting to hear all his stories about traveling on the road and doing comedy and then
yeah.
also being a great dad.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And also, he's just about to embark on a whole new tour. You can see it on his website, davewilliamsoncomedy.com. But, he's about to tell you all about it as well as you listen to this podcast. So we might as well stop wasting everybody's time.
Yeah, I think the meat's ready.
Yeah, the meat is ready, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy our chat with the well-traveled and talented comedian and chef, you name it. Here he is, Dave Williamson.
Váyalo.
All right. How's
Yeah.
it going? We got him, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. Here he is. It's Dave Williamson, the king of meat.
What's up, guys? I miss you guys so much. It's so good to see you, dude.
Thank you.
Man, it is fantastic to see you, buddy. And I'm really excited for you, man. You get to break out of this pandemic. You're going out on tour. You're hitting all the important barbecue spots. I love it. You're the kind of man. Nobody has a tour schedule like you, because barbecue is in the title of pretty much every one of your destinations. You're heading to Boulder, Phoenix, Bakersfield, Boston, Memphis, Fort Worth, San Diego. If anybody wants to check out the dates, they're all on davewilliamscomedy.com.
They're all vegan towns, by the way.
And they're all, yeah.
Yeah, somebody asked me if they get a discount if they're vegan, and I said, we charge you more.
That's the way forward. Are you excited, buddy?
I am, dude. I just, I realize that everybody wants to get on the road right now, and all the comedy clubs are not totally open. Some of the comedy clubs didn't even survive, the pandemic. So, instead of competing for spots with everyone, and I've leaned into this barbecue hobby so much. I have a podcast called Meet Dave, and I've been putting up so much barbecue content throughout the pandemic that I've got a little bit of a fan base in the barbecue community. So I was like, man, I'm going to go do shows in barbecue restaurants. And, I have some experience with producing shows from doing shows out here in LA. So I'm like, let's see how it goes. So I got a travel trailer. I'm bringing these two kids who just graduated from film school with me to shoot the whole thing. And we're going to do, just shows in barbecue restaurants, stand-up comedy, and then a pitmaster Q&A at the end, all across the country. Yeah, those dates that you mentioned, and I'm still adding like a ton. There should be like twice as many up within the next week.
That's awesome. And is this just you by yourself and the guys, the camera guys, or is there any other comics in the show?
No, like some cities, there'll be a local comic who maybe wants to pop on and do an opening set, and I like 2 or 3 of the restaurants asked me, they go, hey, one of our pitmasters just started doing open mics. Can he open for you? I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome. Keep it in the family,
Nice. And then that's awesome. That's good. And it's just you and the guys like driving?
Yeah, the 3 of us sharing the drive time, trying to make it happen. I got a sponsor, this company called Bear Mountain Barbecue Woods. They make pellets to put in pellet smokers. And they hooked me up with a little seed money and some logistical help, and so we got it put together all professional like. And now I just need people to buy tickets to come out to the shows. And I hope it's something that at the same time having fun and trying to get back on the road and do longer sets and work on material. I hope that at the same time it's like really positive for these restaurants who have just struggled so much over the past year, that it's something that they could be like, oh, this is a cool event that we can look forward to, and maybe get a little bit of a dinner rush that particular night. So I just want it to be a win-win for everybody, man.
It seems like the perfect time and the perfect combo of what everybody's going to need right now. And I have to ask you the very important question, because I know you have enough experience with this, but don't you worry a little bit about putting a choking hazard in people's mouths and then getting them to laugh in a comedy show? Isn't that a concern?
I mean, they eat food at comedy clubs all the time, and that's like, fried stuff that's easier to choke on. This is fall off the bone barbecue. It just slide down your gullet.
Nice. Yeah. So are you doing the food during the show, after the show? Like, how's it? Do you know?
It'll be different in every place, which has made it a real undertaking trying to like update info. Some places it's like they just buy a ticket and then they can buy food when they get there. Other places the food's included in the ticket price. Some places we can only hold 30 people because the restaurant's small. Some places they have a big field where we're gonna get a tent and they can fit 300 people safely. So it's like different every city. So the production part of it's been a huge undertaking, and I just
bet.
realized I'm like, man, between producing it and promoting it, and just and then
And
I'll be
cooking.
driving to start. I mean, I need to sit down and work on my jokes. I got to worry about the performing
Oh,
part at
yeah.
some point. You know,
yeah.
I'm gonna show up to the
Yeah.
first night this Thursday in San Diego and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this part. I got to actually be funny now that I got you here.
Oh well,
Yeah, man.
we already have a good question from the
Here we
people
go.
listening right now, and Dave. I mean, they're asking questions even before we start asking questions. So that's great.
Uh-huh.
So, what is the most underrated city for barbecue in your expertise?
Oh wow. Well, the cities that are well known for their barbecue, are obviously like Austin, Texas, and pretty much anywhere else in Texas. Memphis, Kansas City, and then I would say some of the
Right.
Carolinas too. Those are like some of the Memphis, right? Those are some of the more well-known cities. Um, I really like this place, and I bring it up because it's somewhere you wouldn't expect to find really good barbecue.
Right.
One of the restaurants I'm going to is called the Smoke Shop in Boston.
Boston.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to
A
that.
seafood town. You're gonna
Yeah,
convert them. They're supposed to be all about the seafood. You're gonna go and change their minds.
that's it. And then I also am stopping at some really cool places in Colorado, and I've had some
Oh,
really good barbecue through Colorado as well. So I'm excited for that.
I'm gonna go to
But
Colorado Springs. Do you know any good barbecue places there?
not specifically, but I can find out for you for sure.
All
But
right.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you to try to answer a question as comprehensively as possible. The reason why I got into smoking meat and barbecue is because when I first moved here, I couldn't find Denver. I'm coming to Denver. I'll be there.
There we
Uh,
go. Good
I
job,
couldn't
Pete Pun.
find good barbecue here in LA, so that's why I taught myself. I just got mad, and now I would say LA is a very underrated barbecue town. There's a lot of great barbecue
All
to be
right.
had around town, and San Diego as well. Southern California has really started to boom for Texas style barbecue. So,
Right.
I'd say LA and San Diego might be your answer to that question.
Oh, good. Because
Nice.
I was wondering though if there was a correlation between states that have legalized cannabis and their now addiction to barbecue. But actually, if the states that have legalized cannabis, I kind of assumed their standards might drop because they might be hungry,
Well,
more hungry than needing the quality barbecue.
Well, barbecue is not really fast food. So I
Yeah.
think
Right.
that when you got the munchies, you don't want to show up and be smelling it like before you even hit the door, and then you
Yeah.
walk in and it takes a long time. I thought about having a web series called "Smoking Out with Dave," where I'd invite my pothead friends over, and then I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we're when you get high, get the munchies, we're gonna eat barbecue," and so they'd be like, "Cool." I'd be
Sign me up.
interviewing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
they'd get
too. I'll
high,
be there.
and then they'd be like, "All right, I'm ready to eat," and I'd be like, "Oh no, that shit's not gonna be ready for another 8 hours," and then just watch them melt down.
Oh no.
By the way, my girlfriend's from North Carolina, from Asheville, and I've been to 12 Bones. Have you been? Have you heard
Yeah,
of 12 Bones? That's a good barbecue place in Asheville.
I
It's really
I
good.
think I think I have heard of that. Yeah, Asheville's a cool town to eat in general, man. They got
Yeah.
great places. There's some awesome breweries. I remember an awesome restaurant there called Tupelo Honey. Really good place. And of course, anytime in the southeast, I go to Mellow Mushroom Pizza.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Mellow mushroom pizza.
Yeah, it's a really good pizza chain.
All right. Okay.
All right.
I have
Food
to check
authority.
it out. Check it out. Well,
Do
thank
it.
you, Tweet Pond, for that
Yes.
question. Thank you for starting us. And well, I think as you know,
Well,
this podcast is. Oh yeah, JJ, you wanted to say something?
oh well, no. If you were about to give the preamble about like Dave knows what he's here to talk about, travel and all that. Just had a question on the tip of my tongue because I know that Dave said he's traveling with a couple of kind of college. What should we call them? College interns, or is it? Is it their?
Fil-
It's going to be their first film school
School
kind of
graduates.
experience on the road. Yeah.
Film school graduates. Yes.
So were you just waiting outside this college and be like, hey, dude, come here. Hey, you wanna? And you have your van with like your bar. It says barbecue in there.
He's
Hey,
just
Hey,
hey, guys.
hey,
wafting
you
barbecue
like
out.
meat? You like meat? How about 2 months with me? Just
Yeah.
meat. And it's like, what?
In
No,
my
man,
van.
they were just they were fans of mine, from they saw me at a show when I was in the
Nice.
I was doing the drive-in movie theaters with Bert during the pandemic.
Oh, that's right.
So they saw us, so we
Yeah.
came through Arizona, and they were Arizona State kids. And so they started following me on Instagram, and they decided to do their student film to graduate on a barbecue, making a barbecue comedy. So they asked if they could
Okay.
interview me for it. So I was like, of course. And we hit it off. And I love talking barbecue. So I talked to them for an hour about it. And then I just happened to be doing one of my first road shows post pandemic or during the pandemic here in Phoenix, like the following week. So they came out and we hung out again. And then I was, coming up with this idea of going on the road. And I talked it out with them. They were like, yeah, we graduate the week before that. We'd love to come with you and shoot it. And I was like, well, awesome.
Oh
Yeah,
wow, that's how,
you're
that's the
sign you up.
best.
Perfect.
That's the best way to do it because it was very organic. It wasn't
Yeah,
like it wasn't you writing like an ad in Craigslist. It's like, do you like meat?
yeah,
And it's
Yeah.
like,
exactly.
Can I pay you in meat? Do you like getting paid in barbecue? So
yeah,
so I was wondering because yeah, it doesn't like that's kind of exciting to be able to film it on the road, do like a road kind of a road doc deal. Because as I was reading up, I did notice in the past you have had company on the road before in that you've taken your kids with you for an extended amount of time. I simply
Yeah.
just have to ask you, how did that go?
It was the best time of my life, but it could have gone very different. It was a definite leap of faith.
Right?
I was living in Florida. Had been
that's where
working
you're
as
from, right?
yeah, I'm from Miami, Florida. So I'd been working as a full-time comic for a few years, and my wife and I just knew the next step was either going to LA or New York, so we picked LA. So I came up with this idea to work the road as we moved,
Okay.
and do it in an RV and just maybe go for like 3 months, and end up in LA. So she was like, "All right, let's try it." So I found someone to rent my house. We sold all of our stuff. I found the perfect travel trailer, a 25-foot travel trailer. I sold both
Okay.
my cars and bought a Tahoe that I could tow it with, and
Wow.
we hit the road. And I went to a festival called the World Series of Comedy, and I ended up coming in third place. So I
Wow.
won a ton of
Nice.
work. And see, here's the catch with that is like a lot of those B clubs, people don't take the work because it's like they don't
You
want to
gotta
travel
drive.
to. So I hit them up and I said, hey, I'm not really an
Right.
opener, I'm a headliner, which I was really stretching the truth at that point. This was like 2012. I go, I'm more of a
Yeah.
headliner. I go, and if you book me this particular weekend, you don't have to worry about getting me a hotel. And
Oh,
these B clubs, borderline
They
A
want to
clubs,
save money.
they jumped on that. So I booked up a ton of work, and I took
Right.
them on the road. We drove from Miami all the way up to Vancouver, working
wow.
all along the way. Worked our way down. We got to LA after 3 months, and my wife said, "I'm having fun. I'm having a blast doing this." So I sold it to Nickelodeon as a web series, and
Wow.
booked up more work. And we went back across the country and back. And by the time it was
Wow.
all said and done, we lived in this little
Great.
tin can for 18 months, man. And
Jeez.
Whoa.
so
Holy cow.
yeah, and we had a blast the whole time. I mean,
And how
well,
old were your kids?
Yeah, that's what I want to know too. How old were
I,
the children at
I
this point?
think when we first launched, I think they were like 2 and 4. So they
Oh, so it's
each,
like the perfect age.
yeah, they each had
Nice.
2 birthdays in the trailer because we left right before their birthdays the first year in 2012. But yeah,
Wow.
man, dude, we had so many adventures, and it was such a great foundation for my family too because those first few years of trying to figure out how to be a comedian, and I'm sure on this podcast talking to comics, you guys hear this from other people too.
Yeah.
Traveling is the hardest part of being a comedian. I mean, it sounds glamorous, but you're
It's the
away from
job. I
yeah,
would say
it's what
that's
we
the
get paid
job.
for.
Yes.
100%.
The
Because
best part is the show. Like the
yeah,
Yeah.
actual getting to the show and leaving the show, that's the job.
yeah,
Yeah. The
it's
middle
like
bit.
Ray Lewis famously said. He goes, "I would play games on Sunday for free. What you're
Yeah.
paying me for is all the practices and all the travel
Yeah.
time and all the
Yeah.
preparation. Same with
Yeah.
comedy. We would do the shows, like the good shows themselves, for free, but you're paying us for all the preparation we did to do a good job for you once we got there.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Um,
I'm my
so
own middleman, basically.
100%.
You're the delivery guy of your own goods.
Yeah, we do everything. We drive each ourselves. We take we put ourselves in a hotel. We have to then work on the material. Then also come then do the marketing afterwards of saying hi to the people, selling merch. All everything, like literally everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now add cooking onto that. Add
Well,
barbecue and
And taking
you
care of
can't
your family.
dude, like you cannot be late. You can't. You're not calling any promoters going, all right, look, just hold the show back 10 minutes. I'll be there. I'll just walk on stage at 8:25.
Well, so the caveat, I do a lot of cooking on the road, especially when I tour with Bert and the big tour bus. I bring the trial smoker, and I'm always cooking for the guys because I enjoy it. One, two, it's just like you can only eat so much takeout, so it's a little bit of like
Right.
comforts of home, and it's fun, But this tour, I am bringing my smoker and I am cooking a bunch. But the shows themselves, the restaurants will be providing the food. But I plan to get there. I plan to get there in time to like pitch in and be a part of it. And I'll be selling my rub that I'm selling now, my all-purpose rub, so people can during the Q&A at the end of the show with me and the pitmaster, they can ask questions, they can bring the rub home, try their own recipes. So there's going to be a lot of food element to it, but I'm not cooking for like 50 people.
It almost reminds you, like, you can almost be like in politics, when they do that political move, when the politician just shows up and moves a box. And then they say he was there all day. He was moving. You just got to show up and get a photo next to the meat, going, Dave Williamson doing his
just
thing.
Just don't throw toilet paper to the crowd,
Let's go back to talking about what a good family man I am. And how
Hey, but I want to talk about the rub. Is that something you created, or is that like you made it up and like you how does that came about?
So yeah, it was a learning process. So I mean, I have a kind of a rub that I, things I particularly like that I always mix together, and I use it on most things. When I'm going to put ribs or a brisket in the smoker, it's, what we use to coat the outside to give it that bark. But the way I have it too, it's like I use it for anything I would use salt and pepper on. If I have eggs, I use the same mix. If I have a steak, I have the same mix, chicken, I'm putting in there. So it's not just for barbecue. And being in the tour bus, and not being able to bring my cabinet of like 20 rubs for different things, I like having this one generic rub that I could use for everything, more or less, So many people have messaged me. It's the number one question I get on Instagram. People message me and go, what kind of rub did you use for that? What kind of rub should I use for this? Blah, blah, blah. So now, instead of repeating kind of what your options are and what my thought process is 1,000 times for people that might not really care that much about making it themselves, I could just say, here's a link, buy it, DaveWilliamsonComedy.com, get your own rub, Yeah.
But you made it. So how did you did you have a company that made it? Like here are my ingredients, and how did that?
So a company in Georgia reached out to me, and we actually had some mutual friends and stuff. So they walked me through the process, and so I basically told them what my recipe is. And when you buy so most barbecue rubs, Texas style barbecue rubs, are mostly kosher salt and kosher salt and coarse pepper, right? So that's the basis where you start from, and then maybe you mix in some pepper flakes or paprika or whatever tickles your fancy. So I tell him kind of my percentages, but the size of salt that they get over there might be different from the size of the salt I get at the store here. So we got to go back and forth a little bit, trial and error, and maybe it needs a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that when it's done in mass quantities. So we did that. We went back and forth, and I cooked for my neighbors and my friends, and then finally we were like, this is the recipe. This is the closest to what I put my name on. So then they package it, and I got a pallet showing up on Wednesday.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, you don't have a sample there with you right now? Have you been able to examine the
I know.
packaging?
I could go grab some that I made, but it's going to be exactly what you think it is. But no, the label, the labeled one comes on Wednesday. But I got the label up on my website. All right, people can see the label. It's kind of funny.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
This dude photoshopped it together for me, and I look like I'm chilling on the couch.
Yeah, well, that is the case for anybody listening at home and stuff. I see a couple of you guys in the comments section and stuff too. So like I said, all his dates are on the website. And yeah, while you're there, you can buy some of the rub as well. Those of you who are the barbecuers, and keep coming with your questions. If you have any questions for the king of barbecue.
I just before you get into Jay, I just want to say, like, we also Latinos, we have another thing, like a rub. It's like a condiment thing that everybody uses on. It's called adobo. And like, it's like a thing that like you were saying, like you just put in everything, so it's so I was like, it reminded me of what you were saying. Is a thing that you can put in chicken, meat, fish, whatever, stew, whatever, and it's kind of like, so it reminded me of what you were saying.
We have that in the Maritimes of Canada too. Is a ketchup? It's called. We love it. We love it. We put it on our eggs. We put it on. you know,
Mojo.
you name it.
Yeah,
Sweet Pun said Mojo. What's Mojo?
yeah, Mojo's good. I'm from Miami, and we're
Oh.
big on Mojo down there too, with all the Hispanic influence down there.
I
But
thought-
I have a really good Mojo rub that someone mailed me. That's the other cool thing about this brand I've leaned into is that people mail me hot sauces and rubs and sauces
Oh,
from
wow.
all over the world. I think it's so cool. My wife's like, we don't have any more space for this. All right, stop it. Stop giving out the address. But I have a really good Mojo rub that somebody sent me. I've been using a lot lately.
Oh, I thought it was Mojo like Austin Powers.
Oh,
That's- that's-
Sprinkle a little mojo on it.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. Man.
Oh, sorry, JJ, I cut you up, but you were.
Well, I was just gonna ask with your kids. So that was 2012. They were 2 and 4.
Yeah.
So now they're preteens.
They are, man.
And so
they stink.
So yeah, right. Okay, now they're smelly preteens going through all those issues.
That's why they're not going on the road with you. They're
That's
yeah.
why.
You
That's
can't
for
bring
starters why you're not taking them on the road with you. But what do you do as a young dad, young family man? What do you do for their holidays and stuff? Because you must be sick of traveling when you've returned from the road. And I'm like, if you have a young family that's going, where are we going, Dad? We're gonna go up north or whatever, you know.
Well, like doing that trip in 2012 and being on the road for so long, it was really instrumental to building a good foundation for us. So when before that, when I was first learning how to become a full-time comic and I was going on the road every weekend, it wasn't just me who had to learn, it was my wife. Like, I had to learn what it was like having me disappear every weekend for 3 days, and
Right.
and then you start thinking of those things, or, oh man, do I really want to do this career? I'm going to miss soccer games every weekend. And so going on that trip really gave us as a family a foundation to where she sees like what it's like for me too, and she's like, oh, all right, it's a lot of work of like things you were saying earlier, Francisco, where you're like in a hotel room and working on your jokes, and you gotta even find a meal somewhere, and sometimes you don't have a car and you got to walk down the highway there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So she really appreciated the work that it took, and my kids got used to it too. I think when your kids know to where you're going instead of daddy just disappears to go to work, I think it's harder.
Right.
So we got it. I think it helped 2 ways. One, when I am gone, they know that it's my job and I'm not just disappearing. And then when I am home, I make sure that I am home. I'm very involved. I'm around all the time. I spend time with them,
Right.
So when I'm home, I'm lucky that I can be home all day long and see them all day long. And then 2, they're so good at traveling with me that I do take them on the road with me a lot still, like if I'm going to go do something that's near her family in Indiana, then I'll book 2 weekends back to back and we'll stay with her family in between. I'll do 1 weekend in Chicago, 1 weekend in Indiana. We had that travel trailer for years. And every summer I'd go up to Vancouver and I'd do one-nighters on the way, and we'd go and just do a little mini version of our trips. And now that I bought this travel trailer, I split it with Forrest Shaw. Me and him went halvesies on it. Another great comic. So
yeah, we know Forrest.
Yeah, Forrest and I bought the trip. So we're going to keep it after this tour. And now I can use it to take them on the road with me more often. We could kind of start that back up again, like we used
So
to.
this is a thing, like a
Yeah.
little. Is it like a what is it? Like, I don't like, what are you that you're sharing with Shaw?
So
Right?
it's a little travel trailer. It's just got a little bunk. And let me see if you can see the picture if I show it to you. And it's got a little flatbed in the back, and it's the bare necessities, man.
But is that just you sleeping there, or that's the everybody?
I could take me and the family on a camping trip in this, and we could all have a bed. And like, I could take these camera guys, and we all have a bed. Right? Let's see. Can you see it?
Yeah.
I
Like
can
a little
see it.
pod.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
That's a very Los Angeles sized one. I see those a lot around here.
Yeah. And then check it out. I haven't told Forrest this yet. Wait do you see this?
Is it going to be parked at Forrest's place?
I'm taking it Wednesday, and I'm getting it wrapped.
You're getting it. You're putting your face on it.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Like, what?
Right.
Nice. Of course, because I mean, like, that's your marketing right there. That's your ad. Like, why so people know, like, oh, there's the rub guy.
Yeah, I can't wait for Forrest to show up and see that and be like, we didn't talk about this.
That's exactly what's
Well, I think that's it. Obviously, it's gonna be a thing that you can peel out afterwards, right?
Yeah,
so
you can, but it still will be funny.
Yeah, so it's like, as long as you're using it,
Yeah.
Is there any way you could get him into the trailer without him looking?
Wait till I charge them 50% for it. I'm gonna be like, hey, dude, it's your trailer too, man.
That
Wow.
is that's a technique that's been around for a while. Like they at festivals around the world, whenever you see
Yeah.
ranks of taxis and stuff all covered with a comic's head, and you're always like, how much did it cost? But also, they're sold out now, aren't they? Kind of thing.
Hey, it's marketing, man. You know, driving down the
That's- yeah.
highway.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say too, like, cause like obviously you've been traveling a lot with your family and stuff like that. But like besides, like obviously cooking, which is you said as like a hobby that became now like it's like a career. Is there any other hobbies that you do while you're on the road? Like, besides, like, cause you're on the road so much. I mean, what do you like to visit stuff? Do you like to eat
have to
other
think-
places?
You have to think about meat 24/7. Is that
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely, even if it's not barbecue, I definitely do not like to waste a meal when I'm on the road. Like I don't eat at chains. I want to eat somewhere that's authentic. And I also drink the local beer. When I go out to a bar, my first thing I ask for is I go, I would like a local IPA. I don't even care which one it is. I go, just give me a local IPA because I want to just try different ones, right?
Nice.
But so if my personality is made up of just a few things, it's being a dad, which we covered. It's barbecue, it's comedy, and I would say the fourth piece of the puzzle is water polo. I love water polo.
Oh yeah.
So
Because you used to be a water polo player in
I-
college, right?
I did, yeah. I played at Auburn, and I've coached, a bunch of different schools over the years, and my kids are playing now, and so
Nice.
I love water. I have a water polo podcast with Tony Azevedo, who's like the Michael Jordan of USA water polo.
Oh, nice.
So
Right.
what I'll do is I'll look up and see if they have a masters team in whatever city I'm going to, and I love when I'm on the road. Most of them have the old guys, when they play, they only have like maybe 2 practices a week. Normally it's like a Wednesday night and then like a Saturday morning. So if I'm on the road somewhere, I love if I could find a masters club to go hop in Saturday morning, scrimmage, little
Nice.
pickup
Wow.
game of water polo, make friends with the guys, and then go to lunch after. And now I got buddies in that town, and they come out to the show that night. I mean, I go Vegas, Cleveland. I've hopped in. When I was with Bert one time at Wise Guys in Salt Lake City,
Yeah.
the place where they swam or they played was only 10 minutes from the comedy club. So
Oh.
I did my set. I got off stage. I jumped in an Uber. I went down the street right as their practice was starting. I played water polo for an hour, pickup game, got in the Uber, got back just in time for the meet and greet after the show. So, my hair's all wet from the chlorinated pool and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, let's go to the bar. He's like, why do you smell like chlorine?
Man.
I got a wet
That's
Speedo
awesome.
in my back pocket,
That's awesome.
That's very impressive because on a lot of levels, because I did a lot of team sports growing up. So I played college basketball and I played hockey and basketball and baseball growing up. And I kind of, in my comedy career, but you're going to find this the opposite. I regretted all the team sports I played. I wish I had an individual sport. I've told Francisco this as well because Francisco's got tennis. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish I had a racket sport or an individual sport in my repertoire, because it's really hard to get a pickup game of basketball or hockey or anything when you're on the road. But you just crushed everything, because I would have assumed it's impossible to get a pickup water polo game going. And you're like,
it's not easy, man. But if let's put it this way: if a water polo game does exist, they're gonna be happy to see you. You know what I mean? But finding them, it's not every city. That's
so hard too. I mean, for me, just to even think of, like, because water polo is fucking hard. I mean, like, I swim. I love swimming, and like, first of all, I need like half hour to stretch before I go swimming. You're literally like did a set, jumping in the pool, just going. Plus water polo, which is like you gotta like swim, hit the guys, like be float, and then that's crazy. Like, how do you like? Obviously you've done it all your life, so you kind of like use.
Yeah, but trust me, man, I'm always hoping that there's someone on the other team that's not in shape, and I can guard him. I definitely don't keep up as much as even this year. I was starting to actually get back into some swim shape the past couple of years, and I coach at the high school here over on the west side where I live, and I hop in with the kids a lot. But this year with COVID, like I didn't have that luxury to be able to hop in and play with them. Even when we got to play some, I got to coach from the sidelines. So I'm
Wow.
definitely not in shape. But Masters water polo for the most part, LA is actually the only place, maybe some spots in New York, where it's like so high level, where it's like
Mm.
you got to make sure you're showing up to the appropriate game so you don't get in
Oh,
and
really?
do things.
Got it,
But
got it.
anywhere else in the country, if you show up, they're just happy they're there and they're like, "Cool,
Yeah,
man,
like
you like water polo too?
We
Let's
need the
play."
bodies.
water polo
Yeah.
in LA is like karaoke in LA. Like you gotta know how to fucking sing.
Yeah.
Like
That's a
you
great
can
comparison. Yeah.
you can't just be like,
Yeah.
well, no. These people like that. You're going after somebody that's just winning American Idol and lost,
Yeah.
or almost
know,
won. So it's like,
Yeah, you don't show
JJ,
up as a joke. We've done that. I've done that at like oil can Harry's or whatever. I remember we
Yeah.
did that one night with some friends on holiday, and they're like, "We're just gonna do karaoke." And then there was a few of us who lived here, and we took a look at the karaoke room, and we're like, "No, this is dead serious. This isn't fuck around karaoke. This is this is
hey,
game time."
yeah, they're like embarrassed for you.
Yeah.
JJ, you should check out pickleball, man. Pickleball is much
oh
easier to
yeah,
pick up than any of the other paddle sports, and it's blowing up right
Right.
now.
it's
There's
great.
courts everywhere.
Yeah.
When we were on the tour bus doing the drive-in movie theaters during the pandemic, we bought a pickleball net and equipment from a sporting goods store, and we got addicted to it. So we would do wherever
Right.
we were at, we would do the show, and then we would just be in a parking lot usually till the bus driver came to drive away at like 4 a.m. So we would set it up and we drew chalk,
Oh, that's great.
outlines, and we'd sit out there
Yeah.
drinking beers and beating the shit out of each other in pickleball till 3 a.m. Dude, it was a
I like it.
blast.
I like
Yeah.
that plan, man.
Yeah,
I-
because they
Um,
play a lot in Venice, right? Like I think they have the pickleball
Yeah,
courts.
right.
It's like ping
Yeah,
everywhere
pong
out here now. Yeah.
for
right by what's the Muscle Beach. It's right, the courts are right next. I remember walking past Muscle Beach, which is not what it used to be when you see an Arnold Schwarzenegger. You walk past Muscle Beach and you're like, oh, the years have not been well to this Muscle Beach. It's all sun weathered equipment and stuff. But then I saw the pickleball courts rammed. People just
Yeah.
people going crazy for that right now. I was gonna say too, you can't really bank on swimming right now because, as you're aware, California's got a chlorine shortage. We're about to be
really.
we're about to be
that.
selling chlorine in this state like it's a drug.
God.
I've been
Yeah.
swimming all this time, so I'm not gonna. Well, hopefully they don't close
Yeah.
the pool that I'm
Yeah.
swimming in.
Hey,
Yeah,
it's
you're
fine.
probably
You just
okay
can't
for
pee
now.
in the pool anymore.
All right, that's
Just-
fine. I
yeah.
pee all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, do you know? You obviously probably know Jason Galerin because his son plays water polo, right? Jason Galerin, another
Yeah,
comic.
yeah, we just connected. His son played at a really great high school program out here, Harvard Westlake, and now he's playing on the East Coast. Yeah, man, his kid's doing awesome.
Oh wow, nice.
Hey,
That's
golf is another one too, man. I've always
yeah.
enjoyed
Yeah.
playing golf. I played golf my whole life, but I never played it enough to get good at it. So a couple of years back, I told my wife, I go, I'm gonna get serious about this. I'm tired of sucking, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I was still working the road pretty heavily at the time. So I would just bring my clubs with me every weekend. And we all have status from flying so much. So it's just a free checked bag. And I would shove it with all my merch. So all my merch
Mm.
and my shoes would be in my golf bag. And then that way I
Right.
could pack lighter. And then whenever I got somewhere, if I drug my clubs all the way there, I was like, well, now I got to play. So you just go on the Golf Now app, you find a cheap game the next morning, Uber to the course. And then also, most comedy club owners, if you start chatting them up on Thursday
They
night about,
love
oh,
that.
yeah, they're like, oh, I have a hookup, and they'll hook you up somewhere, or a fan, will be like, oh, I just played a beautiful course at Palm Beach because this dude who's a fan and just a nice dude is a pro there, and he was like, yeah, man, come play, and he hooked it up, and it was beautiful, man, great day. Now that guy's a friend,
Yeah.
So golf's a good one, dude. I got golfer's elbow now because I got new clubs for Christmas, and I played every day for like 2 weeks, and it still
Oh,
won't
wow.
go away. Getting
So
old,
they-
guys. Getting old.
Hey,
They get-
I know that shit.
Yeah,
The
the-
tennis elbow, golf elbow, anything. It's like that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It's like I gotta stretch now for everything. So it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like so that's why I was very impressed that you just like jumped after a set into the pool, like Aquaman, and then go back and do another set. That's crazy. I was
Yeah,
gonna say too. Like, oh, sorry, JJ. Yeah.
I know. I was just gonna say, to me, a pool has always been rehabilitation.
Yeah,
it
it's
looks
for
like that.
soaking.
I'm
Yeah,
scared of pools, but I'm like,
When
yeah.
I stay at a hotel and the pool has a hotel, because I don't like getting on the treadmill. Like I've never been good at things that are like hard on my joints. So like I would rather go down to the pool and then just do like treading exercises and like a mini practice basically by myself, and at least that gets
Right.
me moving. And
Yeah.
if I just do that enough, then I can survive when I get to go play in a Masters game. But yeah, don't get me wrong, Francisco. There's plenty of times I show up and I'm like, I'm the weakest leak in the pool. I'm like, I've never been the worst guy in a game in my whole life, and now I'm like definitely heads and shoulders the worst guy in this game right now. But
Still
it's
very
fun.
impressive, very impressive. I mean, I was
Yeah.
gonna ask too, like, what when you're on the, I mean, obviously you travel a lot, but like, do you besides bringing your family and your barbecue pit and your rubs and everything, is there anything that you bring that's lucky for you, that's super, that's like you bring like your superstition, like your lucky rub or your
And I always like to make a guess before we hear the answer on these things, because I'm gonna guess we're dealing with a man who's not superstitious.
I'm actually the opposite. I think the
That's
thing
my
is
guess, but I'm looking forward to hear. Yeah, you think it's the opposite, buddy? All right,
I
let's see what
think
he
it's
has.
the opposite. I think it's like, because when you cook, I mean, I love cooking, so I don't know. I think it's like you have to like, well, hopefully, you bring a little, because he probably has like a secret recipe or stuff like that. So that's like kind of like superstitious, So I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
All right, let's find out.
I would say I don't know if it's superstitious is the word, but when I'm going on the tour bus to bring in the smoker and I'm going to be cooking, then yes, I do like bringing as much of my own stuff as I can, because that's familiarity with certain knives and cutting boards
Right.
and rubs and the gloves and the pans and the tools that you know how to use well, right? Now it is kind of fun. It's almost like being on a reality show when you're cooking on the road and you run out of something, you don't have time to run to a store or a car to run to a store. So you got to figure it out. That's kind of fun. You run out of an ingredient and you start like peeling cheese off
Oh, I
like
don't
a
have
wet.
any meat. I forgot the
Yeah,
meat.
yeah. I always end up sourcing the meat, but I do think that that's kind of fun, sourcing stuff and just figuring it out on the go. Um, Now, when I just go on the road in general, I would say that I bring the same shit every time. It's always I'm a paper calendar guy. So this is the number
Right.
one thing. I've got to have my calendar. This is my life right here. Just
Oh, you're like a dentist.
yeah, dude.
Like you have like the thing like all lined up there. So you don't use your iPhone or your phone or anything like that?
Not for the calendar, man. I got to look at it on paper for whatever reason.
Okay.
So
I'm a big fan of that too. It hasn't changed, but even
Yeah.
since the Palm Pilot or whatever, Palm Pilot was being pitched at
Here's-
us 20
Oh,
years ago.
wow.
here's my
It's faster.
here's my
That's your
tour.
thing.
Isn't it?
That's my
Is that-
tour I've
Yeah.
been planning. If
Wow.
I lose this, I'm screwed, man.
You see now, I don't mind that, but I need to have a backup, and I probably use it on the computer. Like, no, I use my Google, my iPhone calendar, my Google Calendar, iCloud Calendar. But hey, that's
But,
I keep the calendar, but I'm very much a written down guy. I write it all down every week, and if I it often ends up in the joke books as well. But it'll have a page with my schedule and calendar on it because it's faster. That's why I always say, because you can take a phone call and write down a date at the same time faster than you can get the app open and then plug away at the calendar spot.
yeah.
I feel anyway.
I bring my laptop, my GoPro, my podcast recording equipment. I bring all this stuff, special, tripod for your phone, all that stuff. And then most of the time, I end up not using any of it. I end up just doing all the emails from my phone. I use my paper calendar, and I'm like, why did I bring all this shit?
Yeah. Well, I started doing that too, because I would bring like my laptop to like or a laptop and a book, and I'm like, yeah, so I can write and read. Never happens. So now I was like, forget it. I'm just bringing like just literally my phone, because that's like, if I need to do anything, if I even need to read, I can read in my phone if I want to. So it's kind of like I'm done with like, because I plan to bring always to do a lot of stuff like with clothes too. Like I bring a lot of clothes and I never use it, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing?
Yeah, I have a 1 book rule I've given myself, because I think even recently I caught myself putting 3 books in my bag, and I went, "What are you thinking of yourself here? You're barely gonna get to the first page of 1 book." Just
I haven't read 3 books since I started comedy 20 years ago.
Exactly. Every time I go on the road, I'm really optimistic. I'm going to do a lot of reading this weekend.
That's funny. Yeah. I mean, I try to keep it as I learn a little more to keep everything, bring the necessary stuff, because at the end of the day, we wear the same stuff. Like I mean, do you wear the same stuff that when you're, I mean, not when you're cooking, because you have your own like, do you have your own like wardrobe for cooking? Because, or you just
I
wear the same stuff and
I mean the barbecue uniform for most people is just a plain black t-shirt
okay.
and jeans or whatever. Um my shoes, I do like to bring specific shoes if I know I'm gonna be cooking, because if I go on the road, what I've done is I buy like a nice pair of sneakers and then I'll just
Mhm.
wear those, into the ground for a few months,
Right.
because I
Yeah.
can wear like the same sneakers during the day and then I can wear them on stage at night if they're new and nice and just plain black sneakers, because it just got to be too much bringing two or three pairs of shoes. But if I'm going to be on the tour bus and cooking, then I got to bring either sandals or a shitty pair of shoes, because otherwise that meat juice just splatters all over.
Sandals,
Yeah.
don't you get burned with like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. We got to be careful that you don't have a direct hit for sure.
oh wow, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like, whoa, sandals. I mean, I'd be like covering with like one of those like
Yeah.
miner, like going to like mining boots and stuff like that. I don't want to get
Yeah, I
burned.
I can't believe no one's done this, but hasn't done this before. But I think there should be a barbecue specific shoe, like a pitmaster shoe. Like,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah,
already
man.
it already looks like splatters kind of thing. Like,
Oh, right. Yeah. So
if
that
anyone
it
out
just
there owns a shoe company and they want to collaborate on this, let me know.
hey, dude, you got the rub going. So
One
maybe
by
the
one,
next
dude.
step, yeah, maybe the next step you'll have your own line going.
Little by little.
Nobody's thought of the special shoes, so you just have to convince people of it. Cooking shoes, got to get on my. It's a be a whole new term. Nobody's ever thought they
That'd be
needed
great.
cooking shoes until you put it in their minds. You got to have cooking shoes.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the kitchen without your cooking shoes on?
Well, they do
Hey.
make certain shoes. Like, I know people that work in kitchens because the floor is so slippery. They do have to wear specific soled shoes. But I think
Right.
something that's a little stylish, pitmaster specific, where if you get charcoal or ash on it, it just blends in. It's like that
Nice.
same
Yeah.
look.
By the
I
way,
think you're
we
on
had a good
something.
question from Tweetpan, which she was, it was like, what are your favorite gifts from fans?
Well, my wife hates it, but my favorite gift is hats that I actually wear. I mean,
Right.
these are all from barbecue restaurants.
Yeah.
Just
Why did
send
she
them-
hate?
send
Why
them
did
to
she
me.
hate it?
Because I have 1,000 of them up here.
Yeah,
They're
my
hanging
girlfriend
up
also hates them.
everywhere.
I love
Yeah.
hats.
So I like hats and t-shirts for sure. I mean, so if you want to go specifics, I mean,
Because every boy needs more T-shirts. Every man.
Yeah, right.
No man has enough T-shirts. They say, as I'm wearing a T-shirt that I've probably had for 10 years.
so I get a lot of rubs, sauces, hot sauces, hats and t-shirts, and I love them all. Thank you so much. It makes me feel good every time I get a cool one. But my favorite things, I would say, is recently I got a cutting board um,
Okay.
from a cutting board company, Neanderthal um, fire company. Sent that to me. Awesome. And then I got to give
Right.
this dude a shout out, because he made me a custom knife, and
Wow.
I have a couple knives that I bought myself that are kind of entry level, and I'm so excited to have like a high end knife. This guy made it. He makes them uh, custom from scratch, one at a time. Um,
Wow.
it's I don't want to screw it up. It's small plate
Very
chef,
cool.
pretty sure, but I want to make sure that I give him a proper.
That's awesome. Like,
That's
is
super
it
cool.
is it the knife to like to cut meat, or a knife to like
So yeah,
for
it's a
protection?
It's for killing. It's for
No,
killing
yeah,
rampages. It's
I
for
don't-
his for his other actor.
For
He
killing
does the
people.
cooking. He does cooking and comedy.
I don't
then
know.
the
I don't
late
know.
night killing.
It could
and then
be
he sits there with his
Rambo.
alibi. Hey, that's it.
I'm into the
It-
security world. So his company is Small Plate Blades, and his Instagram is at Small Plate Chef. It's a dude named Dylan, and he made me this knife right here, if you could see it. But it's got a
Nice.
awesome two-tone handle, the Miami Vice colors basically, and
Yeah.
and it's just a generic knife that I can use for slicing or prepping or whatever. Man, I can't
Nice.
wait.
That's
Wow.
awesome. That's awesome. And
But
quick.
yeah, I would just say
Yeah.
it means a lot, because like this dude, like it's like a passion of his. Like, he made it himself. Like, that's
Yeah.
like I appreciate it when people buy me, send me their
This is
product
from
or buy me stuff.
scratch.
But yeah, this guy
Yeah,
like
man.
that was
This is
time he
like
took away from someone else to do it for me.
Yeah. This is you like you. This is Kill Bill making you a samurai Han Solo sword. This guy was like, this
Yeah.
is, he made a sword a knife
Yeah.
just for you
It's a
to
Hanzo sword.
it's a
Tori,
Hansa. Yeah, yeah.
it's a Tori
Tori.
Hanzo sword.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Hansa.
Yeah.
On a side note,
Yeah.
I'm sure I could kill people with it if I had to. That's a spear.
Yeah, of course. And have you ever gotten like a weird oh yeah, Pam says that yeah, every knife is a murder. Yes. But have you ever what's the weirdest gift have you had? Have you had like a weird gift? You're like, oh, what? I not, or like, or they're all like,
I'm sure I have. I think the weirdest offer I ever got was I
offer.
was yeah an offer for a gift. Um, so
Right.
I
Yeah.
was I was in this random club in an interesting community in Florida, right?
Hmm.
To give you proper context, and
Yeah,
it
I
was
think
like
I
a
know what you're getting.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was down in Marco Island, Florida. It was a very weird. There's a lot of rich people that are only there part of the year, whatever. So it was like a random Tuesday, and I was opening up for Jim Brewer, and
Uh-huh.
and I had to be back for my day job. I was working at my family's car business at the time, so I'm driving back and forth across the Everglades. So this lady kept coming over to me, and she kept like trying to talk to me while Jim's on stage, and she was a beautiful, very tall woman, maybe a little older than me. I don't know. So she kept trying to talk to me, and I'm like, oh no, no, I just watch a show. I can't talk during the show. And she comes over to me after, she's chatting me up again, and she's like, come to my bar, come to my bar. And I'm like, man, I'd love to go to your bar. I work this town all the time. I would love to know someone who owns a bar in town. That'd be a good connection, right? I go, but it's a
Yeah.
Tuesday. I'm not gonna have drinks and then drive across the Everglades. Like,
Yeah.
like I gotta go. So it's nice to meet you, kind of thing. I was trying to blow her off politely, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
she kept trying to say, come to my bar. My husband built a really nice bar at my house. So then I realized, like, oh, she's trying to get me to go to her house.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
And so I
Ah.
kept shooting her down, shooting her down. So then she goes, she shoves her purse into my gut. And I was like, ugh. And she goes, could you hold my purse for me for a second? Sorry, it's heavy. I carry $10,000 cash with me everywhere I go in case I need it for anything.
Whoa,
Yeah.
what a bribe. What a what a bribe that is not a bribe at all. That is
Yeah.
obvious that it's like it's
Sounds
very
like
direct.
it sounds like the worst honey trap ever.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, I could use the money, but
Yeah, yeah,
I gotta go
yeah.
home.
Ah, I thought you were gonna be like,
Fun.
so I'm at this woman's bar and
Her bar was
I,
very nice.
I quit
Uh,
my job that day.
the FBI had to raid the place and find me a week later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is like
How
I
it
thought you were.
happens.
I mean, it's those people that when you go to on those shows and they go like as a couple, they look at you and they go like, "I like your energy." When they go and
Yeah,
say that stuff, they're like,
yeah,
"I was like, okay, yeah,
yeah.
I gotta go.
It's
I'm gonna go back to my room. Thank you."
they always look like they're puppy shopping together. Like, who's it gonna be
Yeah,
tonight?
yeah. Yeah,
Great.
this is I never I've gotten those. I've never gotten $10,000 worth of that. That's pretty. That's a good.
It might have been
That's
it might have been $2,000 now that I think of it, but either way, it was a lot of money, and I had to turn it down.
I mean, you could have become like I remember that movie from the 80s, like this guy delivered pizza and then he was like banging like double movies. You could have been like the double order a double brisket and that
Yeah,
means
yeah. Anchovy
Yeah.
pizza. I remember that movie.
remember that movie? Like he was, and then he got like I forget what it was. I forget the movie, but it was like the guy was just banging a bunch of like rich older
milfs.
married
Yeah,
women,
milfs.
milfs.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Right.
that was this exact scenario.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Man, you lost the opportunity.
So I'm dying to drill down on. I love that we've clearly established that you're father of the year. Nobody's going to take that away from you. You're crushing it.
Well,
on
I
that
want to talk
level,
to the kids first.
and especially with having taken them on tour. I'm wondering what leads to that, because I love Francisco and I. We always get to find out what a lot of the comics' childhoods were like, and like how they were traveling when they were kids. And now that you've got this young family, and you actually took your kids on the road before. I'm wondering how that influenced you when you were younger. What kind of holidays did you have for you to be able to go? I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Sure, road trip. How on earth did you have that much faith? And what did your parents do with you for holidays when you were little?
Well, so I was an only child, and we would travel a good bit. My parents were pretty comfortable when I was growing up, and so we would do like spring break trips up to go snow skiing in Colorado a lot because they would do it. It was a business trip, but it was like
Oh, wait a minute.
they
So
they'd have like
I
a
just had a
1 hour
funny thought
meeting.
of. I'm glad that you said that they were like relatively successful because I imagine one doesn't find water polo through poverty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I had
that's
to,
fair.
Water
I
polo
don't,
and skiing. Yeah,
Well,
I had to find
wait,
my way out of the hood, and water
well,
polo was the only ticket out.
wait till you hear the second part of the story. I wasn't even getting to
Yeah,
the real
yeah,
yeah. All right,
snooty
let's
stuff
do it.
here.
uh-huh.
So
Yeah,
my parents are big boaters too, right? My dad
right.
he's always loved boating, and so when I was a little kid, we had a 38 Bertram, which is probably the exact equivalent to about this 25-foot travel trailer that I took my family in. So we would go. You know, my parents they did it. Their honeymoon was in the boat going around the Bahamas for like 2 weeks. So every year we would take my parents' honeymoon trip as a family. We'd go for 2 weeks around the Bahamas, and it was pretty cool because back then, like you didn't have sat phones. There was no way you could get like supplies over there. It was like you loaded up whatever groceries you were going to need for 2 weeks, and then we were catching food the rest of the time, right?
Oh
So
wow.
you had powdered milk and whatever beverages you needed were stored down in the bilge, and you went, and then we just would go different islands every year. We'd go explore different places, and it was just such great memories, man. So
That's
for
pretty cool.
me, like taking my kids on this trip in the travel trailer all around the country was the closest thing to that my childhood. And have I when I got older, my cousin would come with us, so it was me and my cousin. So
Right.
I saw like the parallels with my boys when they went, and honestly, from that trip, I honestly think that made my kids like best friends. Like they
Oh,
really,
cool.
yeah, they're really close, even as they're 3 years apart, and they're like really close as brothers.
Nice.
Right.
And
That's great
they're
because
friends. Yeah,
most young siblings are more like mortal enemies. It's more
yeah,
like
Well, I think
creating the
that for
evil
me,
nemesis.
that I kind of relate to that because with me and my sister, when we moved to, we moved to DC, Maryland, when I was 12 and she was 15, and like that's the age that you're not gonna be friends with especially with your older sister. So, but when we
Right.
moved, we became friends, and we're very close now because of that, because that movement, that travel, obviously being in a new country, a new culture, everything made us kind of like hang out together, and like we
yeah,
became, which I think if I would have stayed in
Right.
Venezuela, I don't think I would be as close with my sister as I am.
yeah, man. Those foundations are
Yeah.
real, bro.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
traveling and travel. That's why I think traveling is so important, because I think it's like, I think traveling. I think number one rule, I would say, traveling is so good for everybody because you learn so much. Especially when you travel also outside of your country, you start learning the other ways that people do stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, this is not the only way to do one thing. And like and especially when you're a kid, your minds opens up and you start learning so much more than people that don't travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that trip I took with my family for a year and a half in the travel trailer, I started dating my wife in college, so we'd already been together for a long time at that, but we've been together for over 10 years. At that point, in our relationship, and I think any relationship, when for our kids being young, you're not traveling together, you're not going out on date nights. So that's when the hardest part of most, I think, marriages was when your kids are first born, and
Right.
you don't have all those like fun things to remind you why you like hanging out with each other.
Hmm.
So going on that trip together was such a refresher for our relationship, because the kids were watching a DVD in the back, and now instead of me being alone on a plane on a Sunday, I had her there with me, and we're driving, and we're talking, and we're having conversations that we hadn't had in 10 years. Oh, did I ever tell you about the time when I was a kid and this happened and this is what I
Huh.
think about
Yeah.
that? And it was a real good
Yeah.
reconnection for us.
Did I ever
And
tell you when this lady wanted to give me $10,000 to go to her bar? What?
she'd probably be like, "You should have done it. We'd have a much bigger trailer right now."
I know. But that
But
is
yeah,
true.
I
That's
think
inspiring, man. I bet you there's a lot of couples right now who are like, yeah, that's what we need. We
Well,
need
I
to
think,
lock ourselves in a trailer and
and I
travel around
also,
America.
and I'll second that. To me, I actually, with my girlfriend that I'm with, I think I knew that it was gonna work out because I actually traveled with her very early on. and traveling, you know, like as we all know, like
Stressful
it's
sometimes.
stressful, and like, and
Yeah.
you get to know the person like quicker, you know, because like kind of like there. Also, how people behave in certain situations, you know, like if some, you know, like as you know, when you're traveling, like if the car, the tire gets flat, you know, like
It-
stuff like that. And like I was the one panicking, she was cool, and I was like, cool, I need that, I don't need somebody else panicking. So
Right.
it
Both
was kind of
You
cool.
you get to know how each other behaves under pressure.
Yeah.
both my parents and her parents, especially our dads, right? We both established that when we were kids, that definitely on travel days, they were the kind of people that were like, pick it up, hurry up, we gotta go. Where they get stressed and it like manifests into them being jerks to you, kind of, even though they're
Yeah.
nice people. It's just
Yeah.
like I get it that like the dads are the ones who are like trying to run the show on travel day, right? Like we gotta get to the
Yeah.
airport, we're gonna be late, and blah blah blah. So I just try so hard to remind myself of that. And whenever we're going somewhere, and I feel it boiling up when I start getting stressed out on days we got to travel and get out of the house, I'm just like, guys, 10-minute warning. We got to be out the door in 10 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
Like,
It's such a dad thing.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
dad
Yeah.
used to. My dad used to. He would give us the countdown, but then he would leave and go and sit in the car, which
Leaving with or
never
without
helped.
you.
Well, because that would just stress out my mom as well. But when he does that move, when the 10 minutes is gone and then he's gone, and we're like, "Where's Dad?" And like, "Oh yeah, he's just sitting in the car now, waiting for us to freaking come."
That's
It's
funny.
Well, when
such
I
a
first, when
dad
I went on,
moves, man.
so when I went on that, I just want to give the proper, disclaimer, because you were saying like, oh, I bet a lot of people in relationships are thinking they should go get in a trailer. When I was putting that trip
Yeah.
together in my brain, I was thinking this is gonna go either really great or we're getting divorced in like 3 weeks.
Yes.
She's gonna fly home, right?
Yeah.
Completely true.
I knew
Yeah.
it was going to be a leap of faith, and I knew I was risking,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
And when I go, we talked it out, and she was on board, and I was on board, and I'm like, all right, let's try. And
But
so
Yeah.
yeah.
we were about 3 days in though, and I go, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be awesome. Like,
But
and
that's
you know what?
cool.
What's cool about it too is like, as you guys know, most of our shows are like Thursday through Sunday. So then we would have like 3 days to tool around and get to the
Yeah.
next spot. We could stop and see a park or go on a hike or see some, tourist thing that we wanted to see. So it was really nice, man, to just have like the time to
Yeah.
go and chill and not freak out about getting to the next spot.
Nah,
Yeah.
that's
You
really
know,
cool.
a lot of people ask me too. They were like, "Well, didn't your kids like miss all your family and friends? Didn't you miss all your family and friends while you were traveling during that time?" And I got to say, we saw more family and friends during that time than ever because people were really intrigued by what we were doing, and they're like, "If you're coming through town, you got to stay with us." So half the time we were parked in like my aunt's driveway, and we got to spend
Right.
2 days so they could play with their cousins and some friends from college that we would have never got on a plane and spent a weekend to go see because we were in the rat race of doing stuff down in Miami. But since we're
Wow.
coming through town in the trailer, it's like, why not, man? Let's stop and have lunch with them. And it was just a
Yeah.
great excuse to meet
Yeah.
up with people that you wouldn't have normally, been able
Yeah.
to make the time to see.
And everyone wanted to see you, and like you were basically the nice version of cousin Eddie from vacation, from Christmas
Yeah.
vacation. You're like, oh, good, he's here. You were like, because
Yeah.
you were,
Yeah.
you had your own stuff. You know what you're doing. So no, that is great. I think like,
Also, probably gonna cook for them.
yeah, they're probably gonna cook for it.
Not
Not bad. I wasn't really into it back then. This was
Okay.
pre Pitmaster days.
And let me ask you, because
Alright.
before, I mean, because we're almost getting to the point of ending this awesome podcast. But like, I wanted to know, because you obviously been traveling a lot, during the US. But me and JJ, since we're international, peeps. Have you traveled outside the US? And if you have, like, is there anything that you learned from another country or another city in the world that you would like to bring back to, that would you be like, oh, this is cool, we should do this here in the US or something like that?
Well, I spent a lot of time in the Bahamas, like I told you. We still
Mhm.
try to go every year because, my parents have an apartment on one of the islands that we like to go to. So it's like I have a free place to stay if I can ever get my family there. So we try to go. But I think anywhere that's got island time, there was this one dude I remember.
Right.
There was this one dude in Great Harbor Cay, and his nickname was Shoes because he didn't own any. Right. So this dude lived his life barefoot. He lived in the cabin of a boat that was in the marina that wasn't a houseboat, but it had a little cabin. And I don't think it ran, and it was probably half underwater, but that's where the guy lived. And then he would just clean people's fish when they came in at the end. That was what he did. He'd make a few bucks cleaning people's fish, right? His name was Shoes. And that dude lived probably one of the greatest existence. Someone on the
Right.
surface would look at him and be like, "Oh, what a poor dude. That guy's poor." Any day, for years as a kid, I'd see that guy. Would someone be like, "How you doing, Shoes?" He'd be like, "Everything's great, man. Having a great day. Life's great. Life's great." I mean, this guy got to see the sunset in the Bahamas, and got to see people in their happiest moment when they're fishing, and got to live. He didn't have to wear shoes. He was barefoot, and it was okay.
And just
Very
a
good,
quick
very
note:
good.
that Shoes guy became Shaggy. So if you follow your dreams, everybody
Shaggy.
follow your
Yeah.
dreams.
Yeah. Oh, that's very good. Island time, baby. Dave,
Yeah.
Dave, we can't thank you enough. Killer, great guest. I mean, you guys are in for a treat if you catch him on this tour. You're absolutely gonna love it. And like I said at the top of the podcast, check him out at DaveWilliamsonComedy.com.
Yep.
All the dates are there, and the rub is there. Dave boy, man, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have anything? So we have one final question that we're gonna throw your way on the way out the door. Unless there's a final thing you want to tell the audience about at home, is there anything you need other than come and eat some meat and listen to his comedy?
Yeah, no, I'll just reiterate my plugs, man. My Instagram is at Dave W Comedy. So is my Twitter. Instagram's where I'm most active. And then the DaveWilliamson.com or DaveWilliamsonComedy.com will both get you there. You can buy my rub there. You can check out the tour dates, and there's a ton more tour dates being added. And then also I'm going to be launching a Kickstarter to try to help offset some of the costs for the tour, because some of these restaurants only hold like 30 people, and some of them, it doesn't really financially make sense to do the show there. But I just wanted to say yes to any restaurant that wanted to have me and was excited to have me. So, we're offsetting the cost of bringing these guys to film, and I'm offsetting the cost of doing those smaller shows by doing the Kickstarter. And it's not asking for charity. There's prizes on there. So we're raffling off a smoker. We're raffling off a meat pack where you can have $300 of Cook's Barbecue show up at your house, anywhere you live in the United States.
Wow.
There's phone a friend options where you can get me anytime you're cooking something over the next year on the grill, and you need a question, you just FaceTime me and I'll help you with it. So lots of cool stuff like that if you want to help me do something cool, which is do this tour. And that the Kickstarter should be live any day now. But it's all at either at Dave W Comedy or DaveWilliamsonComedy.com.
Nice.
That's absolutely awesome, man. And it really is what the world needs right now. That everybody needs to get back out to the restaurants. They need to get back to the restaurants that they want to support, that have had a really hard time for the last 20 months. So get back out there, support your restaurants, have some great food, and have a great laugh. I mean, I think this is the ideal tour for this time, man. So that's fucking awesome, Dave.
Thank you, man.
San
Diego, Thursday, first show, San Diego, man. I can't believe it.
It starts this Thursday?
Yeah.
Oh wow. You gotta start get ready for your well, you probably have, like you said, everything else you have ready. Now you just gotta work on your bits.
Yeah, I gotta make sure I don't launch into a joke like I was on a music festival last week. No, you weren't.
So like it's like all the stuff that's happened to me too. Like I had to I did a DC back like 3 weeks ago, like headline, and like I did like 80% new, because all the stuff that I had, it just doesn't make sense. It's just it's old pre-pandemic bits, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
On one hand, you don't want to harp on the pandemic because people are trying to forget about it, but you have to address it. It has to be part of the material, because the shit doesn't make sense otherwise. Of
course.
It's a new world, like you have to address it.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Shall I do the final question, Francisco?
Yeah.
Dave boy, the final question we ask all our guests on, it's really straightforward, but do you have one final piece of travel advice that either maybe you've received or you like to dole out to people on the way out to the door? Just a little tidbit of info that people should remember, like don't kill your wife 3 weeks into a 1.5 year road trip. Any kind of
if you're not having a good relationship with your significant other, maybe don't take a 1.5 year trip with your maybe that's one.
Travel advice. I know the second we log off, I'm gonna think of like 10 great things.
Right.
Well, I would say never be afraid to chat up the locals. Everyone's so into Yelp and to into looking reviews and mapping stuff, I find the best places are when I'm just talking. Like I was saying earlier, normally we're in town Thursday to Sunday, and it's always my goal to find the best barbecue place. On Thursday night when I'm on stage, I just throw it out there like, "Hey guys, I love barbecue. I'd love to know what the best place in this town is, you know." And people are gonna tell you this place, people are gonna tell you this place, and then try to make your decision for what makes the most sense for you somewhere in the middle. But just chatting up, getting that local knowledge, man. There's no substitute for it.
That's true. That's true. That's a great idea because I am naturally the guy who looks at Yelp and stuff like that. But yeah, it's better just to, go to your local 7-Eleven and talk to the people that hang outside.
And I talk to everyone, dude. I talk to like the Uber drivers. I talk to the people in the airport. Like I like talking to everybody. So it's like I always end up finding the local nuggets.
That's great advice. Great advice.
And drink local IPA.
Local IPA. And I know, I mean, that's great advice. And by the way, I do also want to say that I always joke that with Dave about like for him to like send me meat and stuff like that, but he always invites me when he's at his place to come by. And I, for me, it's like because I've been on the road, so I couldn't do it. So I'm always joking, but like, so I can't wait to finally, get his meat.
Me too, man.
Try his meat.
I'll pencil you in, Francisco.
Nah, that's right. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, like good. And then you can do my cleaning too.
Greg Wilson's the best at it. He picks these dates and he knows so like Thanksgiving, he knows I'm gonna be cooking a turkey, right? Wow. Yeah, so he'll hit me up like 2 days before and be like, "Hey man, you cooking on Thanksgiving?" I go, "Yeah, I'm cooking for my family." He's like, "If I drop the turkey off, could you cook it?" And I go, "Yeah, why not?" So he'll just drop a turkey off and then I'll cook it and then he'll come back 6 hours later and pick it up. And that's how we do it,
I can't do that. I mean, I'm like you. No, that's not.
It's worked out. I mean, he like keeps an eye on the Instagram and he sees when I'm going to be cooking something, and he knows that the smoke, because I have such a big smoker. He knows I'm going to have room to throw something else in. So.
All
right. Well, good to know. Good to know. I'm still gonna wait for you to get the invite and be like, I want to get the invite and I'll be like, what else should I bring? What else should I bring? That's my thing.
When I get back, so my tour wraps up on the 2nd of July. So I'm going to try to do an LA show some here on the 3rd of July, which I think will be perfect theme for 4th of July barbecue. Tour ends the Saturday night, July 3rd. Get ready for your 4th of July barbecue kind of thing. And then I'll probably be cooking a bunch of shit in my front yard for 4th of July. And then after that, I'm going to be ready, hopefully with everyone vaccinated. It'll be okay to have get-togethers. I'm totally down to start doing my comedian get-togethers in the front yard again and cooking for everybody. It's one of my favorite things. My favorite thing is not just barbecue. What I like even more than barbecue is watching people eat my barbecue. So I will make it happen.
You can watch me. You can tape me and put in slow motion and watch it all the time.
$2,000.
Yeah,
I'd love to help make you happy, Dave. If me eating makes you happy, I'll be there for you.
We'll make it happen, boys.
Well, awesome. Thank you for joining us, Dave, and thank for everybody that was here. Thank you for Pam. Thank you for Tweet Pond for all the excellent questions, and thank you, Pam, for and check out. And I think look, Tweet is gonna try to catch you.
In Denver. I'll see you there.
In Denver. So that's great.
Roll and smoke barbecue.
Thanks, brother.
Bye, guys.
Bye, hello.